Welcome to part 2 of solving systems using substitution. Yesterday we had part 1. I know in class the students were doing very well with it. I was super impressed. So hopefully you guys at home were also having some success with it. So yesterday I gave you a magic equation for one of the problems. In other words, one of the equations had a variable all by itself. Today we're going to talk about, well, what happens if I don't have a magic equation, or if I don't have one equation that has a variable by itself? Then what do I do? Okay, we can still do it. It's maybe like 1 or 2 more steps, but it's still possible to do. Okay, so that's our goal, is to, if it doesn't have a variable all by itself, that's what we're going to do first, is we're going to have to make it have a variable all by itself. All right, so if I look at the first example here, I am trying to figure out, again, none of them are the magic right now. I'm trying to look at them and see which one would be easy to get a variable all by itself. And so the trick is to look at the coefficients. Y has a coefficient here. Anytime it has a coefficient, that's kind of out. That's not going to be easy to get all by itself. It's going to create fractions and it's going to get ugly. So anytime I have one of something, so I have 1x in the first one and I have 1x in the bottom one. So either of them are actually really good options here to get x by itself. And if I'm just looking at simplicity, the bottom one looks a lot smaller and easier to deal with. So I'm going to get the bottom one. I'm going to make that one our magic equation. So my goal is to get x all by itself. Well, that's easy enough. I just have to add 2. And this one's kind of strange. It's not like the other ones. When I add 2, I already have what x is. X equals 2. And so I already have half of my solution. I know what x is. Now, normally we plug that into the magic equation, but on this one, our magic equation, the one that we were just trying to get to be a magic, ended up just having an x in it. So I'm going to plug it into the first equation wherever I see an x. So it's going to be 2 minus 3y equals 14. And I just have to solve this to figure out what y is. So I'm going to subtract 2. That will give me negative 3y equals 12. And last, I would divide by negative 3 to give me y of negative 4. So final answer would be 2, negative 4. All right, let's try another one that's a little bit more normal. This is kind of a unique a unique problem. So this is a more normal one. All right, so if I'm looking to find which one I'm going to make my magic equation, I again look at the coefficients. We have 3y, negative 2x, sorry, negative 3y. We have a 4x. The only one that is one of something is the y. That is the winner there. That is the one that we're going to get by itself and create our magic equation. Okay, so I want y by itself. So to get y by itself, that 4x has to go to the other side. And I can, just like putting it in slope-intercept form, we're going to subtract that 4x to the other side. So our magic equation, and that's what we're basically doing, is creating that magic equation, is going to be y equals negative 4x minus 2. And that's the only step that's really different from yesterday. Okay, so now that I have y all by itself, I'm going to take out y down below and put in parentheses. So I'm going to rewrite that bottom equation, negative 2x minus 3 parentheses equals 1. And in that parentheses, that's where my magic equation comes into play. Instead of y, I'm going to put in negative 4x minus 2. Okay, so we're going to solve this now. I would have to distribute my negative 3. So I'd get negative 2x plus 12x. Negative times a negative, positive. Negative 3 times negative 2, positive 6, equals 1. All right, so I'm going to continue to solve this equation to figure out what x is. So combine my like terms. That's going to give me 10x's plus 6 equals 1. All
right, I would then subtract 6 to give me 10x equals -5. And I'm going to last divide by 10 here to give me an answer of -1/2. Again, this is only part of our answer. We found the x. Now I have to find the y. All right, so let's find the y now since we know x. And you can plug it into well, actually any of the 3 equations. So you can plug it into the first one, which was the original, or the second one. But if you remember from yesterday, the one that is going to be probably the easiest to plug into is your magic equation. So I'm going to go back to my magic equation, which is over here. We had to manipulate it a little bit to get a magic equation. And I'm going to plug in what x was, which was -1/2, into that magic equation. So -4 times -1/2, negative times negative is a positive. Half of 4 is 2, so 2 minus 2. Here our y is going to equal 0. So final answer is -1/2, 0. All right, let's try one last one like this. I want to give you guys kind of a lot of time to practice this since this is kind of unusual. All right, so example 3 here. Again, look for coefficients first. We want to avoid those. So we're going to avoid the 3x. We're going to avoid the -2y. So we actually have 2 options here that we could go with for our magic equation. So if you want to solve the first one, you could solve the first one for y, or you have the option of solving the second one for x. I always tend to go with the top one just because it comes first, but it honestly does not matter which one you solve. So I'm going to manipulate the first one. So I would subtract 3x from both sides, and there you go. That was really the only step that's different from yesterday, is to get the magic equation. So we have y equals -3x plus 1. This is now our magic equation. Okay, since y is by itself, I'm going to go down to the other equation and take out the y and put in parentheses. And I literally just copied down the exact equation with the parentheses. And then you go back to the magic, and we're going to substitute, hence why this is called solving by substitution. Instead of the y, I'm going to substitute in that magic equation. So I'm going to substitute in -3x plus 1. And this is what I have to solve. So again, be careful with distributing that -2. Watch your signs. Negative times a negative is a positive 6x. -2 times +1 is a -2. All right, then we can combine our like terms. 1x plus 6x is 7x's. -2 equals 5. Then I can add 2 to both sides to get 7x equal to 7. And if I divide by 7, I have an x of 1. Again, that's half the problem. I found the x. Now I got to find the y. And if you remember, you have different options here, but the easiest one to do is to go back to your magic equation. And now we're going to substitute again. This time we now know what x is. X is 1. And so I can solve for y. So y equals -3 plus 1, so y should equal -2. Final answer is the point 1, -2. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the last question here, and then you guys can watch the commercial break and continue to work on your homework from yesterday. Okay, so it says an office supply company sells 2 types of fax machines. They charge $150 for one of the machines and $225 for the other. If the company sold 22 fax machines for a total of 3,900 last month, how many of each type were sold? All right, so we have 2 types of fax machines. It does not tell us anything about them. So for lack of a better way of describing them, I'm going to call it fax machine A and fax machine B. So they charged $150 for, let's say, A, and $225 for B. Okay, so I know that I am going to have a system here. So that means two equations. I also know, notice here it says if the company sold 22 fax machines, that right there is giving us an equation. It's telling us a total. There are 22 total machines. And this is kind of like the Jolly Rancher Airheads problem from last night. If I have 22 total, that means I have to add the two types of fax machines together. So I'm literally going to add fax machine A plus fax machine B, and I will get 22 total. All right, then the next equation. So they have 22 fax machines and they sold them for a total of $3,900 last month. Again, that's another total. 3,900 is a total. Notice this one deals with money, so guess what else we have to use? We have to use the other money amounts. This is going to look like standard form here in the end. So it is $150 for fax machine A plus $225 for all the fax machine B's, and that gives us our second total of 3,900. All right, so now that we've got our system set up, we have to choose an equation to make our magic equation. The bottom one, I have coefficients on both A and B, so I'm going to avoid that. The top one, I can either solve for A or B. Doesn't matter, choose your favorite one. I'm going to choose A because it's first. Told you I tend to go for the things that come first. So if I'm trying to get A by itself, I'm going to subtract B here. And so my magic equation, that's the only difference again from yesterday, is going to be A equals 22 minus B. All right, so now that I have my magic, I have my letter that's all by itself, A. I have to go down to the other equation, cancel it out, put parentheses there, and again, we copy down that other equation and just leave in the parentheses, because our next step is to fill in those parentheses with our magic equation. Well, instead of A, I know that A equals 22 minus B. All right, here's where I'm going to cheat and use my calculator for simplicity's sake. So we're going to do 150 times 22. That is 3,300. So that's distributing there. And distribute again to the negative b. So that would be a minus 150b plus 225b equals 3,900. All right, let's combine our like terms. So 225 minus 150 would give us 75b. And that's a positive, so I'm going to plus there. And bring down my 3,300 equals 3,900. All right, so now it's a two-step. I want to get my variable by itself, so I'm going to subtract 3,300. That would give us 75b equals 600. And the last step here is to divide by 75. I'm going to go back to the calculator. 600 divided by 75 gives us 8. So I am selling 8 fax machines of the second kind, so type B. Now I want to figure out how many fax machines I am selling of type A. If you remember, the easiest way to figure that out is to go back to your magic equation, which is right here, the 22 minus B. So fax machine A is going to be 22 take away 8. So fax machine A, I would be selling 14 of those. So I'm going to sell 14 of the first kind and 8 of the second kind. That would give us a total of 22 machines, and it would also give us another total of $3,900. All right, so that's it for the lesson today. If you are in class and I am not there, then I want you guys to work on a few different things. First off, finish the homework from last night. So you're going to work on completing 16 through 12 and also number 14. For those of you who started the test yesterday or didn't start the test yesterday but need to, I want you guys to do that first before you get to that homework. And I hope to see you guys soon. All right, bye.